Smiles, everyone. Smiles. And prepare yourself for...
Show me the money!
Ladies and gentlemen, the radio broadcast experience designed to keep your wallet in top condition. It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Talkin Money. Talkin Money.
More money, more money, more money.
And now entering the studio, your guru for fiscal fitness, Jeff Tarbell.
That is me. How you doing?
Good morning.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
This guy's pulling out shirts from the deep down closet.
Dude, this is
vintage.
This is a good one. This one goes back into the that might be late 80s, although I didn't buy it in the 80s. Like a Sugar Bowl shirt. I figure if I wear a shirt that talks about skiing, maybe it will actually snow. It's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be how warm today?
I rode my motorcycle, so I'm counting on it. But they said there's snow this week, so we'll see about that. How are you? Jeff Tarbell, John Fodorero. Ken Smith joins us out of the blue.
Good morning.
Why is my headphone ringing there? And John brings in a bottle of the Branca Menta, which is a distillery out of Italy. I highly suggest you try it. Maybe.
But maybe not at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Maybe not right now. Although, I will tell you, it's a mint liqueur. And John and my wife were now famous in some parts of France for closing the place down. But yeah, that is a interesting, and that it's the whole St. Patrick's Day thing. We should start drinking. Is that today or tomorrow? It's technically tomorrow. So
it's in a green bottle.
It's in a green bottle. I got my green hat on. I am half Irish.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I half of my family are Kellys. I'm the half Irish me is the kidneys and down. So you get used to the true Irish mentality there. But so we might have to. We could do a little Menta if we want. The problem with that thing is it gives you energy.
That's right.
So it's like the old Italian Red Bull, maybe before Red Bull was Red Bull. I don't know what's in there, but anywho, we don't need to talk about that anymore. We're not doing a sponsorship for Menta yet.
Not yet.
Now the second hour doesn't go
we
so well.
Work on that.
We might be. We might be. I swear to you, I've got 3 to 4 hours worth of stuff. Fortunately, there's only about 30 minutes of good stuff in here, so we'll be able to get through that too. We're going to wrap up today our 12 debt myths, things you think you know but you don't. Another government bailout's on the way, and it has to do with those little birdies,
nice.
the little peeps. It's a peep bailout.
Peep bailout.
Peep bailout. PEP, the little yellow peeps. They're being bailed out this time. Gold. Interesting news on gold and how gold prices are set. We'll cover that. I got a lot of real estate stuff related items. We'll talk a little bit about some cars today too. Most expensive in the world. Which one you should buy. Which one you should not buy. Even throw in a quiz question there, and a lot of other things as well, and all the meaningless stuff we normally do. For some reason, at the end of 2 hours, John and I look at each other and go, A, we didn't go through half the stuff we were supposed to do, and B, what did we
talk about?
What did we actually cover in the first hour? And the answer is usually for me is I have no idea, John. But it's time to go. So we got full phone lines to open up for you today, 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us if you want. I think this thing is working. Well, not. We'll check it. Our text line is 44-1140. And we welcome a new sponsor this week from the friends at Roundtable, The Last Honest Pizza. We're going to be doing some pizza artisan flatbread pizza giveaways here in the first break. So John will tell you a little bit about those as we get there and give those away. I think I've got maybe 6 or 8 ski passes left for Sierra Tahoe. So, and I did see in the works. Our folks at the River Cats are coming back again this year also, so we'll have lots of fun stuff to give away.
A lot of baseball going on today. There's opening season for a lot of Little League teams.
Is that today?
That is today.
Yes.
It always seems like doesn't opening day almost always fall on like the first super rainy day. They have to,
typically, yeah. We're just a few days off from it. This
okay,
year.
Yeah, they're early this year. Okay, good idea. What they do they should put it on the calendar. They'll like move it 2 days in advance, just so they can fool Mother Nature and go, oh, we're just kidding. It's really today.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a little baseball. You were up early this morning, huh?
Yeah, 6:30 in the morning, setting up the pancake breakfast. That's
Good
right,
job, John.
See, I would rather just, quite honestly, how much do you guys expect to raise at the pancake breakfast? Net.
Here's the check.
$150. Here you go. Don't wake me at 6 in the morning. It's worth it for me to sleep in. Here's a 150, and don't
It's
call
for the kids.
hey, you can keep the chick for the kids. It's fine. I don't need any more pancakes. So anyway, good luck to all you baseball players. I was out at the little lacrosse event last night, and the Granite Bay JV girls lacrosse team is whooping them, man. I mean, they're doing really. And the problem with lacrosse is you have to, like, 2 teams in Northern California and then a couple in the Bay Area, and everybody else is just, it just hasn't come out this way yet. So they just keep beating each other up. Yeah, it's fun. You'll learn.
Or you travel.
You travel a lot. So how are you guys doing? What do you want to talk about today? I did note this because it's come now twice. Not sure this is. I guess it could be good for business, but maybe bad for having the West Coast decimated by nuclear attack. But it's all how you look at it.
Oh, that sounds exciting. Wow.
Which side of the
Wasn't ready for that one.
financial pitfall you fall on? So I look at this picture of the leader of North Korea, and you see a picture there, him looking out his spy glasses at South Korea there, and this goes back a couple weeks now, and I think it. I don't want to say it's funny because it's not funny because I think the guy's maybe a little bit over the edge there, but I think that you've got to picture him looking out diligently at the South Koreans and trying to, he's on the look for attack, and yet this is the individual who's threatening to attack everybody. So I get politically, he's probably got to make sure that you got to stand on something politically, right? We can't stand on our economy in North Korea because we don't have one. So we'll stand on the fact that everybody else in the world wants to attack us. But if you read in a little bit, they're developing a missile that's potentially could get to the United States. And if you want to go the most direct route, that would make it Northern California would be ground zero if they ever got one off the ground there. So I do see that the federal government is going to be beefing up anti-defense missile and probably some defense spending in California. And this is where I come back around to the money part of it. So Beal and some folks that have the bases that are still open are looking around saying, we may be getting busy here pretty quick on building up some more defense spending. In fact, the defense minister for the United States saying we're coming to California to bring some of our latest and greatest products. So don't be surprised if you are in the contracting or subcontracting business in that line of work that we might be picking up a little bit here on the West Coast. So hopefully we could do battle somewhere else rather than on the greens that out there along the coast. But who knows? So interesting times, and I do think you will see an increase in the military budget coming to California again. And we used to be all military here. For those of you who weren't born and raised here or haven't been here before, this was, besides being Sacramento being a government town, this was a military town with McClellan and Mather and Beal and all the different bases around. We lived off the government. You go back, and when was it when they did the big shutdowns? It was probably early 90s.
Right.
And people had basically written off Northern California. They thought, right, you close all these bases, this place is gone. And fortunately, they did them in a kind of a slow, timely manner, and it wasn't quite the catastrophe that they thought. So it'll be interesting to see if that doesn't ramp back up some other direction as well, if this person continues with his antics. So interesting. We'll see. But there's a lot of military contractors and subcontractors in this area that may be getting a little boost to their budgets here pretty quick, and that will trickle down to a lot of us, financially. Hopefully, it doesn't trickle down to anything else. So we'll keep our eye on that, which is interesting news. I've got a lot of interesting news about just values and things that are going on, real estate wise, and we finished 10 days in a row, longest Dow running streak since 2006. Ended actually Friday. So Friday, I think, was the first day the market didn't end up the day before. It doesn't mean it tanked out. It just means it didn't do continue its rally.
Right?
And what surprises me a little bit, frankly, is that interest rates aren't higher than they are. Because typically you can almost mark a good day in the stocks is a bad day in the bonds, and a bad day in the bonds is a bad day for not a good day for rates, and you can almost mark them instantly. One goes up, the other one goes down, almost in the same manner. And that happened a little bit. We finally started having this talk about 4% rates again, and that's a tough discussion after you haven't had it for a while. As a tougher discussion with someone who's never bought a home before, because all they hear is 333, 3 something, sometimes 2 something. And you start having a discussion about 4, and really the difference in payment for a first-time homebuyer between 3 3/4 and 4 isn't worth discussing. But mentally,
$23 a month.
Yeah, but mentally, 4% sounds really high.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have the perspective of when rates were 6 or 7 or 8,
or 9 or 10 or 12,
or 9 or 10 or 12, then 4% would sound high if all you've heard is 3s. And my concern is that it puts a little bit of a mental break on some of those buyers, because it's not really based in reality. It's you can still afford the same house you're looking at the moment, but when you say 4, and they almost come to a halt.
It's that emotional.
Wait a minute.
Draw of
and then undoubtedly you will hear somebody, because I hear this every day. Well, my neighbor said they got such and such, and that used to be true. What your neighbor got, used to be fairly common. Kind of rates were what they were, and it's hard for me to say, does your neighbor have a 620 credit score, because and you don't usually, when you're having, unless you've had a bunch of Menta, don't get real honest with people and say, well, my credit really sucks, and that's why I'm getting this quote. Or I need things to work on. So people don't compare apples for apples. And if you haven't been out in the market a little bit lately, there's a tremendous disparity and a scale now, that particularly in the conforming world, where a 740 and a 640 aren't the same. I mean, there's a big difference in rates and down payment and all these little factors that go in between the two. So asking your neighbor what somebody else did is almost irrelevant.
Right.
Yeah, I had this same conversation last night at about 8 o'clock where I quoted somebody on a jumbo 4 1/4, and they said, well, my son just got 3.625.
Mm-hmm.
I said, on what kind of loan? FHA loan. Okay, 3.625, add 1 1/4 MI. It's a $200,000 loan versus a $550,000 loan. And he's all,
Yeah, and I think here's something to think about, because I do think there's some changes adrift, and they're already coming this way. One of them is the FHA program, and we have for years now relied heavily on the FHA program because there really wasn't a big enough penalty to go into FHA in terms of the mortgage insurance was there, but it wasn't super high, and you could get out of it at some point. And so the FHA program has been a good backstop. And they have recognized that, they being the FHA program, have recognized that we've become the lender of default. And so they're trying to change the number of people that come there, I think, a little bit. They're trying to make it self-funded. They're trying to do a few things. And what they've done in some aspects is they've made it, they want you to really try to not go FHA, I think is their ultimate goal.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are going to steer people potentially away from it, too, as these new rules come in.
Yeah, and it's in some cases, you maybe have to go FHA, and FHA
Sure.
is a program where you can have a co-signer that doesn't live with you, and you can have all gift, and you can have some of these things that you can't get anywhere else. So that is why you go FHA. But the ability now to, starting in 2 weeks, April 1st, right, to not be able to get rid of the PMI.
That's going to be starting. That's June, though.
That starts June 1st.
June. Yeah, in the 2 weeks is when the MIs go up and
Okay.
things of that sort. But
Okay.
June, any case numbers pulled after June, it's going to be tough.
So what they've done is they've increased that monthly and that upfront and the monthly cost of the mortgage insurance, which is about, if you compare apples for apples, about double a conventional loan on the monthly. And then starting, like John said, in June, those loans going forward, now not for people who already have an FHA loan, but those loans going forward will not be able to get rid of the monthly mortgage insurance portion ever, unless you refinance or you sell the property. And that, even though in reality, most people don't ever get rid of the PMI before they sell the house or do something else, that has like the 4% conversation, has a mental block that says, wow, even if the market continues to increase a little bit like it's been doing, or a lot, and I pay it down, I can't get rid of it. Because under regular conventional loans, when you get to 78% loan to value, it drops off, or you can request it to drop off. That's a change. So I already see people saying, what does it take for me to get into conventional financing? Well, one is it's 5% down at least. Two, it's 5% of your own funds. And 3, I come back to the credit score again, and I come back and I say, you know, in the FHA world, if you're 640 or 740, the rate differential is minimal, if at all. In conventional, it's night and day.
Ugly. Right. Gets real
It's
ugly.
night and day. So if you're leaning that way, please know what your credit score is, and also ask, if you're dealing with John or I, who you're dealing with, ask, how do I get it up? How do I get the price up, the score up? What can I do? Because we have some very easy programs that will tell you, and sometimes it doesn't even result in a lot of cash out of pocket. Sometimes it's rebalancing some accounts. You know, if you have a favorite credit card that you kind of use all the time and it's got a $5,000 balance and you're at $4,900, and yet you've got these other cards that you don't use that much because maybe you don't get miles on them or something else, but they're there. You know, you might be able to reshift around and get your favorite card to $2,400 and get this one to $1,500 and get this one to $1,500, and rebalancing those will be dramatic to your credit score. Could be.
Right.
So, and there's a program that we use through our credit agency that doesn't cost you a dime. You plug in your desired results. You know, hey, I need to get John another 15 points here. It'll recalculate and say, okay, you know, total cash he needs out of pocket, you know, $1,000. And yet you'll see he's moved $3,000 here, and he's done all these things around, and it's a huge difference. Think about the life of a loan at, you know, potentially 3/8 to a half a point over the life of the loan for just doing a little homework. And some people just don't ask. Sometimes you'll call a lender, and particularly if they're less experienced or they just don't care, they'll say, Kent, your score is this, and this is your price.
Right.
And I will usually look at it and say, you know, unless it's because you had a recent bankruptcy or there's something that you look and say, okay, it's all related to this instance, and there's not much you can't change the history. But you look around and say, okay, this is an active credit user and they've got some accounts. Let's just ask and see what we can do, because it's not like the extra interest goes to me. I don't get it. I don't want Ken to tell his neighbors he got a higher rate than he should have. So we want to try to help you out as much as possible. So there are things you can do, and it's going to be critically more important as we go more toward conventional, and you know, people start to squeak away or try to squeak away from FHA a little bit. But then the program that Kent handles for us, the 203K program, is the only thing like it in the world.
Correct.
In my opinion. I mean, there isn't, and that rehab and the construction and all those programs, that is a perfect scenario for FHA. You can't find it in the conventional world, subject to maybe a Fannie Mae home path, which is a one-off type of deal. But for to walk in and say, on any home you want, I want to buy this house and I want to fix it up or remodel it, or I have to remodel it because it just won't fly, then the 203K program is the way to go, and we'll talk about that as well too. So we've got a couple phone lines open if you want to jump in today. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. We're going to give away. We got a quiz question. Let's do some. We're going to do some roundtable. What is roundtable doing for us? Because I am.
Yes, we're happy to have on board Roundtable with their artesian flatbread pizzas. These are starting at just $6. They're light and fresh and good tasting. Each bite loaded with flavor from gourmet toppings like primo pepperoni, fresh mozzarella, basil, all in a lighter, crispier crust. They got 3 different varieties: pepperoni artesian, roasted veggie, and chicken. Probably my favorite. I haven't tried it yet.
Oh, I want the pepperoni.
All right. And tomato pesto. I think Kent might like that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
The artesian flatbread pizzas. They have full size for $12, individual sizes $6 for a limited time. And we have them. We have gift certificates for them.
Yeah, if you win, there's $0. That's
There's
the cost
$0.
today. $0.
So these are
I'll take 2.
artesian flatbread pizzas from our sponsor here at Roundtable Pizza. And we're happy to have them on board.
Roundtable, the last honest pizza. So our quiz question for the first one, we'll take 2 winners off this, and we'll give them some artesian flatbread coupons.
Yes.
What are you talking about there?
Well, you know, let's get into a little. You know, when you like something on Facebook.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
there's
a ton of information out there. That what the conscientious. Why do I always get into this every Saturday morning trying to say a big word? Every Saturday I got something.
I stick to single syllables as best as I can do. Yes and no. No.
So getting back to that, intelligence.
You're a good speaker and you speak well. That's the only way I know.
Intelligence. So low IQ users tend to like
Talkin Money. That's the wrong page.
It's not on the list, but I'm sure it's up there somewhere.
Our goal is to bring them up to high intelligence users. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry.
This is based on the Wall Street Journal U.S. News column. Low IQ users tend to like, and who is the top ranked
celebrity?
So who
is the which celebrity is the Number one for low IQ users on Facebook. So give me like a high IQ user. What would a high IQ user like?
Mozart.
Oh yeah. I got that box. Is he? He's dead. How do you? I mean, what? I'm a fan of him.
The well-organized tend to like Glock Incorporated.
The gun?
The gun.
Very nice.
Organized.
I thought that was interesting.
Okay.
I like this one too. Users in a relationship, like, believe it or not, Huggies.
Huggies diapers.
Diapers.
Yeah, nothing says loving like some Huggies.
I don't get it, but that's what Wall Street Journal has for us.
So our quiz question is, though, is the low IQs are the number one celebrity on the low IQs are like 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. I think I saw this individual on like one of Donald Trump's shows recently too.
Yes.
Was he on there?
I believe so.
Okay. And actually, he's probably a fairly. Oh, I said he. I limited to half. Dang it.
Uh-oh.
I'm gonna stop. This is Talkin Money. We're going to be
right back, Jack.
Talkin Money!
Well, alrighty then. We're back to Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right.
Got a little music change up there. I like it.
I know. I told Nate, find some of the old stuff, man. Our quiz question is still hanging out there. It was the lower IQ Facebook follower tends to like which personality, and we've had everywhere from the Kardashians to Obama to Justin Bieber to Gene Simmons to all but the wrong answers. And this was an 80s rock singer, and he was on the Donald Trump, what's that show?
The Apprentice.
Yeah, The Apprentice. And he might be on there this last week, I think, see him. So we'll leave that out there to make it a little easier. Got a couple phone lines open. Did you get a winner? Are you going to get a winner? Okay, she got a winner. Who was it?
That'd be, I was going to say Mr., but Brett Michaels.
Brett Michaels.
Favorite
from the low IQ Facebook follower. Okay. I don't know how that I would
remember the well-organized, like Glock Incorporated.
I would have gone with Kardashian for sure, but that's just me. Let's get to Tom. Tom, welcome to Talkin Money. How you doing?
Hey, fine, Jeff. Hey, I live in Folsom. I have our current mortgage is about $560. It's a 30-year fixed at 6%. We want to refinance. Our home's worth about $630, and I know it's a jumbo mortgage. We got to put 20% down. Would the new HARP 3.0 be able to help us at all with that?
Well, the HARP 3.0 is still a myth. I mean, it's a discussion they're having, but it hasn't come out yet. And I still don't think they're going to pick up the jumbo product and put it in a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac loan. Now, what you actually could, Tom, could qualify for the FHA program right now because you have enough equity to go into FHA, which goes up to $580.
Okay.
And you might look at that and see what you're gonna pick up monthly mortgage insurance. But if you're going to do that, do it before June 1st because that way you can get out of the PMI at some point. But you could do probably a no cost, FHA refinance. And what you have to see is if going from 6 something to 3 something in the FHA world is low enough to offset the increase in the PMI. My guess is it probably is.
Yeah.
So Tom, I'm going to put you back on hold. We'll send you out something, and I'm picking up some back noise, but if you're interested in that, give us a call. We can talk about that because that might be something at least worth doing the math on just to see whether going from conventional FHA might help. We did get. I want to come back to your text there and a few other things too. But let's get to Jenny. She's been patiently waiting. Jenny, welcome to Talkin Money. How are you? Hello, Jenny.
Hi.
How are you?
Very good.
Good. What's happening?
Hey, listen, I wanted to ask you, I am retired. What do you think about holding Ginnie Mae's and holding the total bond market index?
Well, A, I don't do a lot of financial planning stuff in that world, but B, it's probably most people will tell you bonds may have run their course a little bit.
Okay.
And are on the process, because we've had a nice run. And what happens is for any type of investment, if you buy something that is, I guess it depends on how you buy into them, but basically you're buying at in this case, it would be the top of the market. So if you start buying an investment that is paying you, let's just pick a number and say 2%, and you're locked into that, and then rates start to go up and up, and everybody else in the world is offering 3% or 4%, and you're stuck with these 2% mortgage, these 2% bonds, when it comes time to sell, you're going to have to discount your bond to sell it because everybody else in the world wants 4%. So you're in an investment that is more likely probably to go down than go up. Now, the reason people like bonds is they produce income. Is that why you're looking at them?
Right.
Right. So you have to look and see. What you need to do is get a good financial planner who can advise you on some mix of bonds and some mix of some other products, and that is not what I do. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that I know, because I don't. But
okay, well, you are great, and thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Oops, sorry. They but it's very difficult to get income right now for people, and when you look at, if you kind of follow, and certainly all week long I'm just tearing stuff out and reading stuff, and you look around, and believe me, a majority of the world is desperately waiting for rates to go up. Desperately waiting for rates to go up, because there is nowhere for them to get income to live off of. And so putting it in savings and CDs and all these investments don't work. And so although those of us that are in the interest rate world would prefer not to happen tomorrow, and those of us that are borrowing don't ever want that to happen.
Yeah. I think we all have to remember, too, I had this conversation yesterday. If rates go 4% and all of a sudden we're quoting 4% on a 30-year fixed, everybody's going to be a little bit happier, too, when they get their 401k statement and they get some of these other items when they're seeing some gains. So there is an offset of, okay, now I'm paying a little more here, but I'm getting more here. And there's definitely a mixed feeling on that, too.
Yeah, and when you were, when the housing market was really, really crazy, and the stock market was really, really crazy, and there was a period when those overlapped a little bit too. People were less sensitive to. They were looking at their overall feeling of wealth, right? If I'm upside down in my house and my 401k is a dog, and my boss is looking at me like he might fire my ass any minute. You look around and like, ain't nothing good right now.
Right.
And pretty soon, okay, my boss looks like, okay, we're getting a little busier, so I'm probably going to keep my job. And dang it, my 401k statement came in, and I actually made $1,500 last month, and I didn't do anything. And next thing you know, my house has now approached break even. At least if I want to get out of it. I mean, that's not a huge difference in terms of numbers, but mentally, it's a gigantic difference, right? All of a sudden, I'm going to keep my job, and my investments are making a little money for me, and my house is actually holding its own and going up a little bit. And I think John's right. It's you'll look around and you say, okay, do I care whether the rates are 3.5 or 4.25? No. As long as everything else is kind of picking me up, and I feel like I'm finally getting back on track a little bit. And I think we finally are getting to that point a little bit, if not a lot.
Getting closer.
And because honestly, if you ask me right now, what is making the stock market or the Dow Jones go through the roof for 10 days straight, I couldn't answer you. I have no idea why there's such an enthusiasm about the stock market. The companies that are doing well there have been doing well for a while. They're hoarding cash like crazy. They're still not hiring anybody. We're not seeing that kind of that expansion. I mean, if you saw companies that were, and you look at the billions and trillions of dollars that aren't even in this country, they're sitting offshore and they're not bringing their money back. And we could. What's funny is that we could, with one flip of a pen, with a modification to our tax law, and we could repatriate trillions of dollars, which basically is U.S. companies sitting on money that's outside of the United States, and they could bring that money back in here. If we gave them some sort of tax amnesty or tax break to do it, we'd raise boatloads of money, and we would see jobs and stuff go on. But that is not in favor with the current administration. So, but it would happen. With one signing of a pen, it would happen. Let's get to Eric, who's been waiting here just a second. Hey, Eric, welcome to Talkin Money. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. What's happening?
Hey, listen, my wife and I, we have an FHA loan. We had to refinance about two years ago because a previous lender made a mistake on the loan. But our current rate is 4.35, and with the rates being what they are, we're trying to figure out if it's beneficial for us to go ahead and try and refinance again. Okay,
and you said your loan right now is FHA?
Yeah.
Okay. And Eric, I'm gonna let you listen on hold only because it's either me or I'm picking up something out of the background. So I'm gonna put you on hold so you can still hear. So FHA is a different animal. First off, you have to determine, and FHA will make you and the lender determine, if we do a refinance for Eric, will he save at least 5% on his payment, 5% of the payment? In this case, the answer is probably no. Right. So that's the first test: is that can you save 5% by doing it? If you're at 4 3/8, the FHA, you probably want to do one that's a no-cost type of option. You're probably right around 3 3/4. That's not enough enough drop.
Even at that, right now, your MI is probably 0.55 from 2010, and it's currently going to be 1.25.
Right.
Based on next month's going to be 1.35, and the numbers just aren't calculating right now. Unless your loan was before 2009 in March, you're going to have some benefits in April, actually. But I've run a couple of those this week, and yeah, I can save a half to 3/4 in rate, but that MI is a crusher right now.
Yeah. So what John's referring to, MI mortgage insurance, the monthly portion of that. If your FHA loan was prior to April of 2009, you get to carry over kind of the old rules, if you will. So you get to keep your old percentages, and it makes it a lot easier to qualify. And what's happening on the new FHA loans is you have to step up to the new monthly premium. So yeah, I mean, even if you were at 5 3/8, you come down to say 3 3/4, and you say, "Well, that saves me a couple $100." But if the mortgage insurance doubles,
and then some,
then it wipes out your savings, and your net savings is basically nothing or not enough. So in Eric's case, I would say, Eric, you probably are just fine with what you have, and I wouldn't worry about that. You got a good loan, and you'll be just fine. So that is one of the rules, Eric. Appreciate it very much for your call. And we're going to take another break here in just a minute, too. We're going to do some 203K discussion as well. And I haven't got into all our – what's your quiz question there?
I'm going to change this up. I just brought this up because I was thinking about the old days. You had a little equity in your home. You had a little money in your pocket. You felt good, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, there's some statistics out there that say, and I like the title here. It says, "Smile, kid. It might make you richer."
Okay.
So as you're smiling because you have equity, a little jingle in your pocket, the question I have is, being unhappy hurts. It hurts so much that it actually there's a percentage of how much less money you will make if you are unhappy and don't smile.
Really?
Yeah.
As a kid or as an employee or anything?
As an
just
employee,
all through your
adult.
life, huh?
Yep.
So how much money, okay, go ahead.
What is the percentage of income based on the average? You'll make less than this percentage if you are unhappy, especially as a kid and as you grow up.
Okay. So I guess in turn, if you're happier, you'll make more money, huh?
Correct.
So what is the percentage decrease you could expect
That's right.
in income if you are an unhappy, unsmiling individual? I don't think I've seen that one. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. So get happy and get a raise. Or how much less do you make by not being a happy individual? I'm smiling right now.
See that? It's making you happy.
So instead of making $3.50 an hour I'm going to make $3.75.
Or we could start drinking Mentos.
Unless you're bored off, in which case Nate's always happy and he's still broke. It's not panning out in there for him. I don't get it. I got some flatbread for you if you want. Our winner, if you'd like, artesian flatbread from our friends at Round Table, The Last Honest Pizza. We'll give you, you can try one of their pepperoni artesians, the roasted veggie and chicken, or the tomato pesto. Your choice on us. That's even better price. But you got to be smiling when you call. We'll be right back.
Talkin Money.
And we're back.
Oh, yeah.
It's Talkin Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Little band out of Southern California. Back in the good old days when they didn't have busted hips, blown livers, or whatever else. Oh, no, come on now.
Easy.
I like the Sammy version. Probably made more money with Sammy than they did with David. I don't know. They were, you don't think so?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, David had a longer run, but I don't know.
I think they just played better music back then with
Yeah.
David Lee at the mic.
It could be. Welcome back. This is Talkin Money. That's John Fodorero, Ken Smith, Jeff Tarbell, and we are taking your calls and questions. Got a couple lines open if you want to jump in at 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. Did we get a winner of our? We did not. So what was our? So if you're unhappy, basically your pay is going to be cut by a certain percent that you're looking for.
That is correct.
So if you're an unhappy individual, you're probably going to make about this. How much percent less than the giddy geek next to you? How much is he going to make more? So that's our quiz answer. We'll let that hang out there a little bit at 339-1140, or you can text us at 441140. Pick a percentage, and you get closer, get it right, we'll give you some Round Table Artisan Flatbread Pizzas. On
the
us.
last honest pizza.
On us.
I like it.
The best price. Actually, they're a steal anyway. I mean, $6 individual or $12 for the full thing. But I think we're kind of like that. We're kind of like that dealer on the corner. We'll get you hooked a little bit, and then you're off and running. And that's how those Round Table guys get so rich. We get them hooked on the easy stuff. We had a couple of calls and texts during the break. I wanted to bring up one of them was from Dougie. I think was Doug texting you there on the 95. So
yes.
Doug says this is the challenge of doing a show that's related to mortgages when you're on the air is that sometimes you may stick your foot in your mouth. And for me, sometimes I actually pull my foot out of my mouth. Anyway, Doug texted us. Doug at Comstock Mortgage said that, hey, dummies, you can actually get conventional financing at 95% with all gift. And there are some instances where, go ahead. You can't read that one. Okay. You can get, our conversation was FHA versus conventional. One of the advantages for FHA has been it can be all gift down. One of the other advantages that I bring up once in a while that I don't think it's played a lot is the fact that the FHA loan is assumable. And you say, well, who cares? Who's going to assume my loan? Well, today, probably nobody. Tomorrow, maybe nobody. 5-6 years from now when you're ready to move up or move down or you have to move. Okay, let's play this out for just a minute. So John gets a 3 3/4 FHA loan, and big deal because they're all over the place today. So we can all get one. We don't need John's 3 3/4 loan. And yet 6 years from now, John's wife says, it's time for us to get a little bigger place or a little smaller place or a different place, and we're moving. And Kent walks in the door and says, hey, I'd like to buy your house, and I'm right next door. John and I have the exact same model. We both take care of our stuff, and we both have the house priced the same. And Ken says, hey, I can't make a decision what to do. And John says, oh, well, if you buy Jeff's house, currently the rates are at 6 3/4.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy my house, I'll sell it to you for the same price, and you can assume my 3 3/4 loan. Now you do have to put down the difference, right? So if John only owes 2 and he's selling for 3, in that case you'd have to put down $100,000. But likely the number won't be huge. But it is a huge financial incentive. So Kent looks around and says, "Well, same house, same deal. You know, Jeff's mortgage is going to be $2,000 a month. John's going to be $1,400 or whatever the numbers turn out to be." He's got a step on me in terms of a marketing advantage for sure of an assumable mortgage. And so there is an advantage to that. I'm not saying go do it just because of that, but I'm saying it is a little bit of an offset or a little bit of a benefit that gets undersold a little bit.
It's that whole smiling thing. It makes you smile.
It makes you smile. In which case you'll get a certain percent more, not 11%, by the way. You're too low there.
Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. I'd triple that almost. So one of the other questions that came up during the break, we were just talking amongst ourselves here on conventional financing, is you do have a very unique option that doesn't get discussed a lot in the conventional financing world if you're not putting down 20%. You're going to have monthly mortgage insurance with conventional financing, and you have an option in the conventional world that you could prepay the whole premium policy right up front. And I think the numbers you were using a 97%, which was a little bit higher. But I was looking at a 95 the other day, so someone wanted to put down 5%. The mortgage insurance per year was about just under a point, like 0.89, something like that. So that gets divided by 12, and you pay that on a monthly basis, which is fine. It's still cheaper than, it's better than putting down 20% if you don't have it, right? So
right.
That's how you get into the loan. But you could have, for about 3 points, maybe it's a little bit less than that, for about 3.5 years worth, prepaid it right up front, just a lump sum, and bought it down, and you never would have mortgage insurance on a monthly basis going forward again. So it's called a single premium pay. You can do it. In this market, it would be probably very tough for you to get the seller to do it for you, unless you were maybe offering them more than the asking and it appraised. Big question there. But it could be paid by the seller. It could be a gift from a relative. So there are ways to cover that expense up front and not have it on a monthly basis. Because remember, if you pay it up front, you don't have to qualify for it on a monthly basis. And that's generally where you see it. If someone's really tight on qualifying, you take out the $75 to $120 a month of that mortgage insurance, pay it up front, then it's not in your payment, you can qualify for a little bit more house. So it's a little trick, but there's a catch to it. You got to pay it. You pay it up front.
Right.
So we'll talk about that. I also want to talk about what's happening with over asking prices too on homes. But let's get to Jack, because Jack's been waiting patiently. Jack, welcome to Talkin Money. How are you? Hello, Jack.
Jack's not back.
Jack. That's how I met your mother.
I'm sorry, you there?
Yeah, you go, Jack. How you doing?
Hey, sorry, guys. Anyway, I'm not eligible for any kind of government help as far as Freddie or Fannie because my home loan was taken by a private investor, obviously through IndyMac.
Right.
My question is, how can I? Because everything's starting to move up a little bit as far as the market, but how can I get an appraisal, an independent appraisal, so I can maybe go through maybe a credit union, my credit union, or obviously a different bank. What's the deal as far as the appraisal? Because I know that there's a magic number of $400 maybe. Is there any other options that I can do, or do I have to kind of eat that and take my chances?
So first off, how much do you owe roughly?
About $290.
Okay. So so you don't have a Fannie or Freddie loan. So now keep them. What's your rate now, Jack?
We're up at 6.
Okay. So assuming that you and what do you think the house is worth roughly?
Well, probably mid-2s right now.
Okay. So I wouldn't spend any money on an appraisal until you think you're at a point where you could. So you can refinance into a conventional loan at 95% of appraised value. So you're a ways from that yet. So what I would do is I keep an eye on 2 different sites. I'd keep an eye on Zillow.com, and Zillow is ZILLOW.com, and I'd also keep an eye on Redfin. Redfin.com is another site. Redfin, in my opinion, tends to be a little more. I don't know what statistically they use differently. You seem to get a little higher value out of Redfin, and I think they might rely a little bit more on the listings prices than the closed sales. So you can look at the 2, but once you think you're at a point where you've breached and you finally are into positive territory, you can refinance at 95% conventional. Now you're going to pick up mortgage insurance as soon as you do that,
right?
And so you have to make sure that you're going to go from 6 to the rate's going to be enough to offset that mortgage insurance you're picking up, and that might be tough to do. Okay. To make it worth a sense. But I wouldn't spend any money on an appraisal until all the free sites were basically telling you're in the money. You've got equity.
And that Zillow, I've been on Zillow, and you think that's a pretty reliable website?
Well, it's reliable from the standpoint that it's a math problem.
Yeah. Are you in a unique neighborhood, or is your home very different from all the other neighborhoods?
We've had some things. The houses have gone. A couple of our homes around have gone for very low, and the bank had one. And so, I mean, it's a nice neighborhood. It's just during the times in the last 5 years, just like the majority of neighborhoods are.
Yeah, the appraiser is going to use comps closed in the last 90, 100 days or less, 30 days, preferably 60 days. So
some active listings.
Right. So as we start to see these values increase, just kind of keep your finger on the pulse. If you think you're close, you can always call us, and we can run some other comps too. But, the other option I was just thinking about is, do you have any ability to, if you got an appraisal at $300,000, could you come in with any money to get your loan amount in structure with a down payment?
And now, what would that down payment? What are you looking for as far as the down payment? What would that?
Well, let's just say the house appraised for $300,000. If you came in with 5%, $15,000, you could get down to a 95% value. If you came in with 10%, you could get down to a 90% loan to value. You'd have to come in with that money to do a new loan. You're really just buying your current loan amount down.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's always an option as well. Zillow is great in the subdivisions where there's lots of comps and lots of activity, and the houses are all fairly similar. If you're out in Loomis or up in Penryn or up in El Dorado County, and your house is everybody's on 5 acres and your house is unique, and the guy next door uses a mobile home, and it's not as reliable because there just isn't and sometimes it can't pick up the county data what you actually have, and if you've remodeled and the county records aren't right in terms of square footage, that's a problem too. So it's good for where it's good for, but it's not the end all for sure. But it gives you an indication of what's going on around you.
Yeah, things are starting to look a little bit better. So I appreciate it. Okay, guys, you guys have a great show and have a great weekend.
All right, Jack. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Hang in there, Jack.
Well, see, at least Jack is starting to get a smile on his face again.
That's right.
He's starting to see things going in the right direction. So when we come back, I want to talk to you about what happens if, and we're starting to see this a lot now, what happens if you're making an offer on something and you're getting outbid? Because this is happening all the time. And the sellers have gotten wise to some of the tactics of us buyers and our buyer realtors, which is we would make an offer. Well, we knew the house wouldn't appraise for it, but we knew the offer would get accepted because it was a good price. And then we'd come back to the seller later on and say, well, it didn't appraise, so lower your price. And that's how we got in first in line. You know, it's a strategy.
That's a short time ago, too.
It wasn't that long ago. Sellers have gotten wise now to find out that not only is Jeff making an offer, so is John, Marge, and Kent. And so I'll counter all of you back and say, I accept your price, but you must accept this term. We'll talk about that when we come back and how you deal with it, because there is a way to deal with it if you have a little bit of money to deal with. So we'll cover that. I still have our last 6 items on our debt list of things, debt myths we don't know. We haven't gotten to the big bailout of the peeps yet. We'll do that as well. And we'll take another break here for the top of the hour. You want to throw another quiz question and do it during the break, and we'll give away. We have a. Why don't we do a Sierra Tahoe ski pass? Anybody wants to go skiing? They're calling for some snow this week.
Get up there.
I don't believe it.
I saw some nice. Let's just say people are wearing less clothes these days on the slopes.
Oh, you saw the Sierra Tahoe Facebook page also, didn't you?
Yes.
Sinner.
The guy was doing a backflip.
Oh yeah, he was doing a backflip.
You didn't even notice the guy doing a backflip, did you?
I didn't scan that high. So 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. We're going to come back. We're going to do a little 203K refresher as well, talk about that program. Because and I'm also remind me to talk about the holdbacks, too, because there's a couple ways of doing some things we want to do that. So
that's a good point.
Go ahead.
So the quiz question is going to be, here we are in a world dominated by smarter and smarter gadgets.
Mm-hmm.
One of the dumbest machines on Earth is making a quiet comeback.
Okay.
This machine actually has a great name. It's called the useless machine.
Oh, I think I called it BlackBerry. I'm sorry.
A useless machine. That's close. Useless machine.
I'll be here all week.
The question is, what does the useless machine do?
It's called the useless machine. That is the name?
Yeah.
The useless
known as the useless machine.
Okay, so what is the function of the useless machine? And we're not talking about your husband, ladies. We're talking about a true machine here. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. Tell that useless machine to get out there and cut the grass. It's nice out after the 11 o'clock hour, or put some headphones on. Maybe he can learn something while he's being useless. But there is a useless machine. Was it built in the 50s or 60s originally, did they tell you?
I believe the 50s. Invented in the 1950s.
A comeback, too. People are building their own and more elaborate useless machines. But what does it do? What's the original useless machine do?
I need to get one of
these. I got one. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Money.
And the action continues on Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
There we go. Getting back into the hairband days there, Nate. Nice. The boys out of Sheffield, England. You know the band there, Ken?
Actually, no, I don't.
The drummer's missing his left arm.
Don't know.
Oh,
Sorry.
Get out of it. Little Def Leppard?
Oh.
Yes.
This is the early Def Leppard.
Early
on. Okay, we're back. Hour 2 of 2. We start at 9 o'clock. We expect you here on time.
We still haven't opened the Menta.
We have not opened the Menta yet. This is why we are continuing forward. We did get a quiz question answer on the text. I don't know if we got one on the phone. But the, what is it called again?
It is called the useless machine.
Yes, and I mentioned before, this is not your husband we're referring to. We are referring to an actual gadget that does...
Or your teenager.
Yeah, my dad had a different word for that, and that would not be FCC approved or any other kind of approval. And I'm still passing part of his shoe through my kidney as we speak, 46 years later. The useless machine does what, Jack?
Basically, you turn it on, and it turns itself off.
Oh, it's like my wife. It's just like that. I keep trying, and it doesn't work.
Here, try the Menta.
I keep trying. I know, there's not no Menta. I keep trying to turn it on, and it just turns off.
That's all it does. You push a button, it opens, and it turns itself off.
It closes itself off.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Very popular, apparently.
There you go. You're right. We may have to use the Menta. And the people are rebuilding. I don't know if it was on that page or something else. It is like they're building a complicated version now. You turn on the switch, and it turns off 8 other switches. Or they're just trying to, but basically it does one function. It turns itself off. There you have it. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text yourself at 44. You can text yourself at 44-1140 if you want to. We did.
We're full of useless information, just like the machine.
I am effectively the radio version of that machine. Turn it on and it turns off. I made all kinds of notes here of things I was going to. What are you looking for? Go ahead.
Oh, the 12 myths. Are we ever going to cover those?
Yeah, well, we already covered through 8.
Right.
Here, there's 9 through, look at that. This is out of Price Watch. I got all kinds of little things we want to cover here today. Number 1, and this surprises me a little bit. In fact, if you go to the top 10, best performing California MSAs, or basically just living areas, over the last 1 year period. So biggest improvement in terms of sales price, home price change in in the United States over last year to date. So they list the top 9, and I would have thought for sure a bunch of them would have been in Southern California, but there's none. So you got San Jose, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, number 1. They're up almost 14% from last year. Napa, Oakland, and Fremont, which I never would have guessed, at almost 10%, but they, Bay Area. San Francisco is number 4. Santa Cruz is number 5. Modesto, I guess when you're so far down, coming up 8.5% is fairly easy. Redding, and we're talking about now this is not just California. I don't know. Maybe this is just California. Let's see. Oh, yes, best performing California MSAs. So Redding, Bakersfield, and the Sacramento Arden Arcade Roseville was number 9, and then Merced was number 9. So interesting, but all those up, not one from Southern California, which surprises me. Now, this doesn't surprise me. I haven't told you guys the answer to this yet. So what do you think? Mortgage Fraud Risk Index for December 2012. Top 5 in the nation areas that have the highest mortgage fraud still. Now, let me ask you, who on earth is still trying to get away with mortgage fraud? I mean, don't you realize that after what we've come through, everything is being – I mean, even the guy – the Pope would have a hard time getting a loan. We're going through so much time, scrutinized so much right now. So who's trying to pull mortgage fraud? But what I'll just give you the state, because this state is number 1, 2, and 3 in mortgage fraud. Any idea? Florida. What is going on in Florida? I don't get it.
Corruption.
What is it with Florida? It's always on the top of the list of highest repos and most mortgage fraud. Jacksonville, number 1. Miami, number 2. Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Tampa, St. Petersburg, number 3. Cleveland, Ohio, number 4. Reno, Nevada. Reno, you listen to this station. What are you thinking up there? And Reno is almost twice the limit of the average. So, and then this was fraud levels. So the peak of the mortgage fraud index originations was 2006. $28 billion in mortgage fraud in that 1 year originated in that 1 year. And by comparison, we're about 12 to 13 billion now. Still a lot of it.
Still.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So, and it doesn't say what they consist of mortgage fraud, and so I don't know whether that means something as simple as, I don't know what deal comes all the way down the level of being fraud. If I said I worked somewhere for 5 years and I really only worked there for 3, is that fraud, or is it misrepresentation? Or if I say I make $100,000 and I make 5, that certainly is fraud. But how are you? How
are you getting away with it?
That's what I don't get is how are you? You could come to me with, because everybody can do their own tax returns now, right? In fact, you might be better off doing your own tax returns according to H&R Block. We'll come back to this too. Did you see this? Oh yeah, if you're expecting a refund from your H&R Block filed return, 600,000 of you are going to be a little disappointed because they forgot to click the right button, and a little bit of a delay in your tax returns. And the problem is for people that are doing student loan applications, these FAFSA applications, you have to submit your tax. They can't submit their returns. Mm-hmm. So 600,000 people are not getting their tax returns. Can you believe 6.6 million people use H&R Block to do their tax returns? That's amazing to me. That is a lot of people.
They don't even stand out with stupid things on their head like the Statue of Liberty.
No, I know.
The corner.
I know. They got to get a better marketing plan, huh? So
apparently they're doing okay.
They must be. They're skating by there. But I digress. If you came into John, so I use let's say I use TurboTax, and I make it my own tax return. I make it my own W-2s. I mean, I'm making like $3.4 million a year, or I'm just making $35,000 a year. It doesn't matter. I make it up. I hand it to John. I mean, he looks at it. Dude, perfect. This looks great. Even if you go to that level of fraud and you make everything up about you, the next thing John does, he has me sign this little form that says 4506T, and he zips it up to the IRS, and the IRS zips it back and says, that guy doesn't make squat. And so how do you get by that? So all I can think of is that the mortgage fraud is being perpetrated in conjunction with the lender.
Correct.
I mean, it has to be a multi, and probably the appraiser also.
Yeah, big involvement like they used to do.
Yeah,
It's a team.
Yeah, so it's a complete, because you cannot. I mean, it's hard enough if you amended your tax return and you forgot to, you only bumped your taxes up or down a couple grand and forgot to give us the amended sheet. We come back after you and say, hey, look, this doesn't match up. So it's got to be the whole shebang. I mean, the appraisers on the come, the title companies in many cases are a part of the deal. That's got to be like a ring of what's going on. So I don't know why Florida leads that demographic, but they do. I talked about before the break this little trend of sellers getting smart to the buyer's habit of maybe offering more. Well, let's put it this way. When you're making an offer on anything right now, very rarely, if ever, are you seeing a case where you come in, you're the only bidder, right? And they offer you your price, and you make an offer and they accept it. It just isn't going that way right now for the most part. You're having to outbid somebody else, if not somebody's else. The trick, quote unquote, was that the house is being offered for $2. John offers $2. Ken offers $2. I offer $210. Oh, seller goes, okay, great. We'll give the deal to Jeff. John and Kent go away. And then, a week later or so, I stumble back in with my appraisal and I go, dang, it only appraised for $2. I can't get any financing beyond $2. So will you take $2? And then the seller says, well, okay, because they were going to get $2 from you guys either way. So I get the house. My little tactic work, and I get the house and I get it for the price that I wanted to pay. And that was going on. We did that all last year.
Right.
I mean, that was how you kind of got yourself above the deal. And the sellers, particularly because a lot of them were banks, would say, okay, fine, we'll just take whatever appraises for. But now we're getting into normal sellers. Normal seller looks around and says, John offers $2, Ken offers $205, Jeff offers $210. They take my offer at $210, and they make me sign a little addendum saying, oh, by the way, the only way we'll accept your offer, Jeff, is that you agree right now in writing and you prove to us that if it only appraises for $2, you're paying the $10,000 in cash or out of pocket. You're paying the difference. Even if you're a lender, you can't get an appraisal for it. That's not my problem as the seller. That's your problem, Jeff. So you got to pay.
Show us the bank statement.
Show us you got the money for the $210. And so this is very common now. And that is probably how you're going to get the deal, is you're going to offer more than the next guy, and you're going to have to prove you got the cash. And so I come back to FHA. So FHA will loan you 96.5% of the appraised value. Because let's assume that our appraised value is less than our purchase price. Conventional will loan you 95% of the appraised value. So here I am. I've got an appraisal for less than my purchase price. And we are starting to see this a lot now because just because you so let's go to the extreme and say you're paying $35,000 more than the purchase price, because this isn't the extreme. I've got a client doing this right now. $35,000 more. So your $35,000 to the lending world is a zero down payment, because the house appraised for $2, you agreed to pay $235. So the $35,000 you're putting down to get you from $2 to $235 is a zero down payment. You haven't even put a down payment for the lender yet, so you still got to get 3.5% to 5% or more down to me, the lender. So you got to do $35,000 plus the additional. And this is where your programs like your FHA and your conventional 95% come in handy, because you may have used basically all your cash to pay the difference in that house price, and you still need a 3.5% or 5% down payment. So keep that in mind, that it is possible to do, and it could be a gift, the difference, or however you want to do it. But you may end up relying on maximum financing just to get into the house. And by the way, even though you're putting down now $40,000, you're still going to pay PMI. Mm-hmm. The lender, the loan, does not consider your portion above the appraisal as a down payment. So it's kind of tough to swallow, but that is how you may have to get the house. Now, all the neighbors around that house are going to come by and bring you a big set of cookies, because they need higher purchase prices. Mm-hmm. And now when John buys the next house next door for $235, he'll be able to finance the whole damn thing, because now there's a comp saying that Jeff the dummy already paid $235, and now there's a comp.
Here I'm smiling again.
I see John is 30% happier. We never did get a quiz question winner to that either, did we? The answer was you get 30% less income if you have a bad attitude at work. And my projection is you get 100% less income, they fire you. But let's go to Brian. Brian's been patiently waiting. Hey, Brian, welcome to Talkin Money. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing, Jeff?
Good. Are you on a walkie-talkie, Brian?
No, I'm trying to figure. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
There we go. Is that a little better?
There you go. Very good. I thought we were going to have to go to the Iwo Jima talk. Go. What's happening?
Well, what's going on is me and my wife, we bought a house. We're buying a house we bought 3 years ago, and we got a 5.25% rate right now, and we're trying to decide if we should refi or not. Okay, and we called the bank that's got our loan, and they said it's gonna, they can lower the rate, and it'll be another 30-year loan, but then it'll be like we got to add $3,000 onto it to do this program.
Okay.
Okay, so we were kicking that around, and then another instance, which my lady she really wants to do, is she got a settlement for her operation for a medical thing that happened.
Okay.
And she was talking, well, why don't we not refi? Why don't we just take the money we got for the settlement and put all that on the house, so we'll only owe like $40,000 on the house then.
So how much do you owe now?
We owe about $170.
Okay. And what's the place worth?
It's close, probably right around $2.
Okay. So you and the refinance program you were talking about, was that the HARP program?
I believe it was.
Okay,
yeah.
so they didn't.
Wells Fargo.
Yeah. So they were going to offer you something in the 4s then, probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So I probably wouldn't go through the cost of refinancing to drop 1 point. What you could do, and this is a little known secret that most banks don't promote because it doesn't make them any money. So you could call Wells Fargo, and you could go for any bank you want.
All right.
And you could say, hey, I'm willing to make a principal reduction on my mortgage of $100,000 in your case, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I would like you to re-amortize my loan balance over the remaining term for the new balance. So let's say that you have 20 years left on your loan. Let's just pick a number. You don't want to you don't want to go back to another 30 year because you don't need to.
No.
But also, if you right now just send Wells Fargo $100,000 and say, hey, apply it to my principal, please, they will. But your payment won't change. Your payment will be the same based on a 170. Now you'll be paying that thing off hella fast, because it'll be all basically be principal reduction. But you could contact them and say, okay, here's my $100,000. Now I want my new $40,000 loan to be amortized over my remaining 20 years, and your payment will go down to a couple $100. Okay. And so if that's really what you're looking for, is kind of that payment relief, that's a very good way to do it. And if you don't need the lower payment, then just send them the $100,000 and just keep making the payment you'll have the loan paid off in a few years, because it'll just be going all principal. But if you really want to change your lifestyle a little bit and have a lower payment, you got to go through the steps and ask them to re-amortize. And so you'll keep the same rate, you'll keep the same term, but you'll get a payment based on the new balance. And that is something that the banks will do. Like I said, they don't make a big deal of offering it because they don't make any money doing it. They don't get to charge you any fees for it, but they'll do it.
It's re-amortized?
Re-amortize the balance over the existing term. So what you could do is call up Wells Fargo on the same servicing number and just say, I want to send you a principal reduction for $100,000. My new balance will be $70,000, let's say, and please now spread out my $70,000 over my remaining 21-year term, or wwhatever you have left on your term now. Yeah. Same rate. Your payment will come way, way down, and you won't have to spend any money refinancing.
All right. Now, what ties into that is because the way I was looking at it is I'm looking at it, that money that she got for settlement, we were investing that,
and
that's kind of like our nest egg for the retirement.
Okay.
Now, would it be just, what would be the best option to go? Would it be just to put that on the house and have a smaller monthly payment and saving money that way, or can you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Again, you're coming back to a more detailed financial planning model that I can't do on the radio for you, and I don't do as a lifestyle. But I look at it this way: you instantly make a 5.25% return on your money, right? Because you've retired a debt that is 5.25% that is now gone. So you've made 5.25% on your investment. I don't know, there's probably not a lot of funds right now that are returning a whole lot more than that. But now you've buried a big nest egg in one location. You've made one investment in your house. Hopefully, we've already hit the bottom. That'll continue to grow, and hopefully, it continues to be a good investment. But there's probably other places you could spread the $100,000 around in a couple different locations. So, I'm not saying I'm not saying that's the best location or the worst. It isn't the worst in the world for sure. There's people who tell you owning your own house is number one, the best deal you should do, and they can't come take it from you.
Exactly.
So you make a 5.25% return. Brian, if you want to text us your information, I can give you a couple names of some financial planners you can talk to if you'd like to.
That would be awesome.
So text me at 441140. Text me your name, your address, and your phone number, and I will we'll pick it up, and I'll give you a couple options off the air there.
That's awesome. You've been a great help, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
All right, Brian. Thank you very much.
You have a wonderful day.
You too.
Thanks.
Tough question. What do I do with $100,000? Good question. What do I do with $100,000? But there's lots of options to do there, and
like you said, you got to look at the whole picture of what they're doing, what they have.
We got to take a break, I believe. 339-1140 if you want to jump in. 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140, like Brian's going to do there in a minute. Do you have any more quiz questions? Where was the one?
I do. Let's talk about cars.
Oh,
everybody's driving a new car lately, right?
Well, you know what?
Brent's.
What?
I'm just laughing. Ken's still working on his BlackBerry over here. A BlackBerry.
on his useless machine?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm putting the rubber band around it right now.
Anyhow, the question here is, because a lot of nice cars, we were talking last week about a $4 million car.
Yeah, I didn't make it to the dealership this week to get my $4 million car. There was only 4 of them, and so I didn't want to be
I think they're all sold.
They're okay.
Anyhow, based on consumer car reviews, the top 10 nicest cars on the market, we want to know one of the top 3. Name one of the top 3 nicest cars on the market.
So not most expensive, not most reliable, not just nicest cars, huh?
Correct.
According to that. And when we come back, I'm going to give you a list of the cars that depreciate the least and the most. So if you are out shopping, I'll give you some ideas of what's holding up in value and what is just literally going off the deep end there.
And it is not what was the name of that car that some 16-year-old guy got?
Oh, the Maybach?
The Maybach. It is not the Maybach.
Not the Mercedes Maybach? Okay. 339-1140, 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 441140. Give us one of the top 3 nicest cars on the market, and they're pretty pricey. Your choice, some artisan flatbread pizza from our friends at Round Table, the last honest pizza, or I'll give you a ski pass this year at Tahoe. Your choice. It's your show. We just run the board. We'll be
right back. Jack.
Talkin' Money.
And we're back. It's Talkin' Money with Jeff Tarbell.
Right. How are you doing? Text line is going crazy today, 441140. Hey, Jeff, the term is recast, reamortization, same thing. But this person said there is probably a fee, $300 to $500. That's cheaper than refinancing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you don't have to go. You don't requalify to recast or reamortize your loan. You just basically say, here's $100,000 and please make my payment smaller, and they will do it. But yeah, I'm sure they'll charge some small processing fees. It's no big deal. It's better than $3,000 to $4,000. I'm getting a couple of I'm a good speaker and I speak well. 441140 is our text line. You can text me. I had a couple other people that text and asked me, can you give me some names of some financial planners as well? Yes, I can. And if you can contact me or get me your information however you want. You can text it to me right now before the end of the show at 441140. Either give me your email address or your name and phone number or address or some way to get a hold of you. Or you can email me directly, jeff@jefftarbell.com. And I do know some phenomenal planners, and you do not have to walk in with $1 billion on day one and say, here's my money. There are planners that like to deal with all levels of people, and their goal is to get you to $1 billion or somewhere close. Mm-hmm. I'm just shy of $1 billion. What's the first zero?
That way you can buy. That way we can buy one of the top 10 nicest cars on the market.
Okay, give me the top 3 there.
And so I got to read this first. So when it comes to the best, price isn't always the most trustworthy indicator. Sometimes you have to look deeper.
Okay.
So this list is very interesting. And do we get a winner on the top 3?
I don't think we had a couple Bentley people.
All right, I guess we got to leave it hanging out there then.
Okay. Give me.
I'll give you in the top 10.
Okay.
One is a Rolls-Royce Phantom.
I got one of those.
One is a Ferrari Enzo.
2 of those. You can get the Matchbox versions; they're a lot cheaper.
Yes, the Maybach is on there. Even though it's only Maybach, even though it's only $400,000.
Yeah, only.
And the Enzo is $1 million.
No. But you didn't say it was the most expensive car.
That's
You said
right.
kind of the best overall
the
deal.
nicest.
Yeah, nicest car.
Nicest
Okay.
car.
So those are some examples. We got someone on hold here. Let's get to Elizabeth. Elizabeth, welcome to Talkin Money. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Very good.
I was listening to your conversation about, I'm a realtor, and I was listening to your conversation about people writing offers at over asking and then coming back and countering that the property isn't appraised and looking for an additional reduction.
Right.
And one of the trends that I'm seeing on the listings that I have is multiple offers, and then everybody's starting to remove the appraisal contingency.
Yep. So
And that's the direction we're going right now, and that's one way to definitely try to get your offer accepted, especially if you have a little cash. Now, the people that are at risk in that situation are obviously your FHA buyers, but that's the trend that I'm seeing out there.
So okay, so and you're doing more listings than buyers. It sounds like. So your listing client is looking at that as being a stronger offer. There's no contingency for. So they still really have an out though, right, Elizabeth? Because if I'm a buyer and I remove my appraisal contingency, there's no way I would remove my inspection contingency. Correct?
Absolutely. So they do have an out, and realtors are looking for those contingencies to be short. 7 to 8 days. I mean, a multiple counter situation, if you've got somebody who wants 17 days on the contract and you're trying to get a counter back and there are 15 offers on the property, most of these sellers are not countering all the offers. They're taking the top 3 and countering those and trying not to even counter those. They just want to pick highest and best and be done.
Right.
And that's what they're looking for. So it's the overall terms, not just the net value, but how fast is this person going to tell me if they're in or out?
Right. And I think one of the other things you, as a buyer, you have to look at, and now I'm totally self-serving here, is that you better know how fast your lender can operate. And so our company, which is local, which is Comstock Mortgage, makes a diligent effort to make sure that on the purchase transactions that we get our clients in the deal and get the deal for them, which means that we may have to put an appraiser on rush to get an appraisal back in 2 to 3 days as opposed to 7 to 8 if time is of essence. We may have to put our underwriting on notice that we need a 24-hour turnaround on a notice. We'll go to those efforts to make sure that if our client had to write a short contract, it's not our goal and our desire. We don't want every deal to be a rush, but there are transactions that Elizabeth's talking about where in order to get the deal, you pretty much have to be in and out of there in 10 days, or maybe even 7 days to say I'm in or I'm out. So my deposit becomes non-refundable. And you want to make sure that if you're doing an appraisal or you're doing a home inspection or you're doing underwriting, that you've got those answers in time before you release what could be sizable deposit.
And one of the benefits that I've seen in using you guys and comparative to other people, for example, I'm representing some buyers on a deal right now, and we're trying to get our offer accepted. And I called their lender and said, hey, can you do a 21-day close? And they can't. They can't turn it around that
right.
fast. And sometimes if you can do a 21-day close and you're up against, and the motivation of the seller is to get done fast,
right?
That 7 days can be a plus.
Absolutely.
Some of them can't even close in 30.
Right now, or how's that work for you?
Yeah, so I think that most of our purchase stuff is running at about 21 days anyway, and you'll find that in many cases the seller doesn't need to be out in 21 days. They need some time to get their act together. So you don't want to force the seller to do something faster than they want. But there are instances, and I would say probably half of them, where the call comes back in. Could we do this within X numbers of days? Could we close within 21 days? Can we be in and out of there? And unless you're doing a FHA 203K, the answer is no.
Right.
But that's a different property with a different set of rules. But a regular purchase, absolutely. And our Davis office routinely will do them, in 15 days if they have to, because Davis is even on a hyper competitive than many of the other areas. So you got to ask, and if everybody gets their ducks in a row on day one, which is so important to being kind of pre-approved and having your stuff together. If you already have all your taxes and all your stuff, everything's already sitting there. All we really need to do is a contract and appraisal. 21 days is not a problem.
And let me tell you the difference from a listing side. If I see offers that come in with pre-qualifications versus pre-approvals, and I think the consumers need to understand the difference between those two. As if you're looking at offers and somebody presents you with a pre-qual, and basically they haven't done their homework yet, they haven't gotten pre-approved, they haven't been through desktop underwriting and gone through the whole process to make sure that they can actually do what they say they can do. It's just there's a difference between a generic letter that comes from XYZ Bank and a pre-approval that comes from Comstock Mortgage that's been vetted.
Right. Well, I appreciate that, Elizabeth. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Good call. Yep, you too.
Bye.
Bye. So that was good, and that's good. That's good information because I don't deal with the listing side very often. Other than if they happen to call and and we're doing one other thing now, which is maybe not unique but helpful, is and a lot of it comes down to just having a good buyer's agent. And people ask me all the time, "Do I need an agent? I can just look online and find a house." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?
No.
You're not. First of all, you're not paying anything for the agent anyway." And second of all, you're going to get some very important feedback. One of them is the buyer's agent will very often call me and say, "Hey, we made an offer to Elizabeth of this property over here, and I know she has 4 others sitting there. Jeff, would you take just a couple minutes and call her and tell her that A, you know who the buyers are, B, you've actually seen their tax returns and you know this is a good deal. Help me sell this person
absolutely
on this deal." And that is we did this before, and this happened on our own house when we sold it. I've had clients write a letter. I have had clients send a picture with their offer. I've had them personalize their offer, however they can do it. I mean, you're now in a complete and utter sales position. And how do you sell your offer to somebody else? Because we all know the numbers are going to be the same. It's going to come out to be the same. How do you get your offer in front of somebody else's? And being creative and doing those kind of things is very, very helpful. And I'm telling you, as corny as it sounds, a heart-written letter about, "John, we went through your house. We love what you've done here. It's a great neighborhood. My kids are going to go to Star King." Whatever it is about that touches, and it may not even be John. It's probably John's wife who's going to read that picture, and she's going to say, "You know what, John? Out of all these offers, look at this young couple. They're coming up from here or there, and they want to, they love the fact that we painted this wall purple and whatever. Whatever it takes to get your offer in. Hell, send some craving cupcakes with your offer and put the offer in the frosting. I don't care. Whatever you got to do. Do something, because you got to stand out to get your offer, through the door.
Yeah,
so
raise your level of competitiveness.
Yep. And we got to take one more break here. We did get a winner there. Bugatti Veyron, is that in your list there?
That is number 1.
But the Bugatti Veyron is number 1. So I'm going to give this out before we take the break here. These are the cars that depreciate the least and the most. So John, the Bugatti, the Lamborghini, and the McLaren were John's top 3. Not necessarily by price, by the way. That was just overall rating. But here's the cars that depreciate the least. So assuming you're not spending 1.7, 1.6, or $700,000 even on a car, these are the 3 with the least appreciation. Number 1, the Honda Fit. I don't care if the thing holds its value. I'm not driving that. Number 2, the Mini Cooper, which surprises me because they don't tend to have the best service records. It seems like they have some service issues, but they hold their value because they're so popular. The Mini Cooper, the Honda Civic, and the Acura TL round out your top 4. Those are basically, they're going to hold their value the most. The least likely to hold their value, and I could have named this one with my eyes closed and didn't give me the answer. Number 1 in the luxury model. What is it? The Range Rover. Number 1. The timeless SUV that unfortunately used some very subpar electronics in a few model years. Word spread quickly, and a new Range Rover that was purchased for $60,000 can now be had for $5,500. That's a little bit of a price drop. The Cadillac Escalade. Government Motors. I gave mine back. To give you an idea. And they gave me my money back, and they apologized to me. The Jaguar S-Type. POS. Mercedes-Benz S-Class. This one surprises me. The Mercedes-Benz S-Class, worst speedings in the depreciation department with ability to lose 80% of its value in 5 years. And this one even baffles them. The old respected brand, and even the expert can't figure out why the value has dropped so significantly. In your mid-sized cars, anything made by Chrysler and Saab, okay, the Chevy Malibu, and any Chevy Cobalt, anything that goes into the rental fleets also gets depreciated heavily. The bottom line. Okay, so there's your top list of the best and the worst ones to buy if you're out shopping. And a lot of you have been limping along your car for quite a while and probably out looking around. So there's you go. I'm not advocating or recommending either of the above. But
just not going to drive a Honda Fit.
I'm not driving a Honda Fit. I'd rather ride my motorcycle around. If you got the answer to that too. We got to take another break. 339-1140. 1-800-920-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about, I finally found the house I like. And, boy, it is a walking piece of junk. I need to fix it up. It can't be financed. There are a couple of avenues we can take for that. Your calls and questions. We get a lot of calls today. Appreciate it very much. And the texts are going crazy here, so I'll read these during the break as well. This is Talkin Money. His name's John. His name's Kent. My name's None of Your Business. We'll be right back.
Talkin' Money.
And we're back to Talkin' Money. And here's Jeff Tarbell.
Right. So we got about 10 minutes left. Again, I look up and I say, what have I done with all the time? I look at my daughters and I say, they used to be little babies, and now they're 15 and 17. It's just the way things go.
That's
you
right.
just keep it talking, it keeps it happening. So we got a couple phone lines open. If you want to jump in, 339-1140. You can text us at 44-1140. I'm still getting texts asking, so if you are looking for a financial planner, someone who really will sit down with you and go over everything that needs to be gone over, not what we can do on the radio here and with some dummy on the radio for a few minutes, but if you're looking for someone like that, I do not do that. But as you can imagine, I probably met a few people throughout the years that can do that very well and are honest and local. So text me your name, 44-1140, if you want that. Continue to roll up here, so it's fine. We'll do that for you. Pass your name along. People finally looking at their accounts and going, we're actually making some money, and we maybe ought to plan again. So that's good. Good for you. Kent Smith is in the studio. Kent handles the 203K program for the folks at Comstock Mortgage, and the 203K is the FHA product. If you were listening earlier, we were going over kind of where FHA is going and why some people are going away from FHA, going to conventional. We omitted one huge fact, which comes up with the difference between FHA and conventional. If you're sitting in a house right now that you want to keep it, you're ready to move up or move down. You're ready to move. Let's just put it that way. And your house is, upside down or doesn't have a lot of equity in it, but you'll keep it and rent it or whatever you want to do. If you don't have 30% equity in that house that you're in now, and you want to qualify for something new, another house, you don't get to use the rental value of your existing home, what it could rent for to qualify, because the lender is not sure, if they don't want you to buy and bail. They don't want you to buy something else and let this other house go back on the market. So in a foreclosure manner. So they're going to make you, it's going to be tough. They're going to make you qualify for two houses and qualify for both of them. They're also going to make you, in the conventional world, have 6 months reserves, payment reserves for your existing house and the one you want to buy. That's a lot of money. That's $20,000-$30,000. FHA doesn't have that same rule. FHA will make you qualify for both, but they won't stick you with 6 months reserves on your existing house, payment reserves, and on the one you're buying. So there's another big advantage to FHA. The other advantage to FHA is that they have the 203K program. And as we're starting to see now, I mean, I would say, I'll bet you a lunch at Round Table or anywhere, and I'll even pay for it, that you go out and find a house that's been listed for more than just a couple weeks, there's a problem with it. And so if you're a listing agent and you've got a listing that's not moving, then either it's incredibly overpriced or there's a functional problem with the house. And we're starting to see these now. These houses are coming up that are either short sales, where there's something wrong with the house, and the bank who says, I ain't paying for that, and the seller doesn't have any money, and it's not financeable. I'm doing one now where there's like no kitchen at all. This is gone. So you can't finance it. FHA says, hey, no problem. We're here for you. Low down payment. Same 3.5% down, right?
Correct.
But what will they do on a house that's unfinanceable for any number of structural or functional problems?
The program will allow you to acquire the house, and they'll include purchase money and renovation money, all in the single close loan. So you'll be able to meet minimum property HUD standards, have some termite clearance done, health and safety issues done if they're ready for the property.
Yeah.
Or the other part is, if the property is relatively in good shape that way with no deferred maintenance, it gives the borrower an opportunity to acquire property in the neighborhood that they love, where a school district is excellent, where they're going to send their children. But you walk in and it's, 30 or 40 years outdated. Homes over in Curtis Park, Land Park, McKinley Park, some in Midtown. There's even some places when you get up into older parts of Roseville, Folsom, El Dorado Hills, that it just needs some modernization.
Could I also? What if you found some of these older houses that are like a 2-1 or a 3-1, and I got 3 kids. I need an extra bed and bath.
Absolutely.
So the house is fine. It's just not big enough for me. I want to.
You can add rooms, add bathrooms, floors. One of the other things about this property is, or one of the program is that you can take a single unit and convert it into a multi-unit. So if it's in your culture where your family follows you around, you can find a nice piece of property and you can expand that into a 2 or 3 unit where mom and dad or the in-laws live near you and close to you, but have their own separate kitchen, bathroom. So it's their own little separate place. So
assuming, I guess, that the county or city will let you do a multi. Yeah.
That's true. That's one of the things. But it is an option that's out there.
That's interesting. I don't think that I knew that part also, and I'm running into more of at least at Comstock we have a conventional holdback program. So I'm doing one now, when I mentioned with the kitchen, where it's already been bid and the contractor said I can do the work. Just give me a week to do the work. I'll do it. The seller and the REO bank said, you're not touching this place while we own it. So nobody will finance it because it doesn't have a kitchen. So we'll actually go ahead and close on it, hold back the money. But that program only gives you about 7 to 10 days to do the work.
Right.
So that works in a very limited case. Kent's talking about a place where, you don't have to. I like it. You don't have to get carried away and tear the place to the ground. But you want to remodel the whole place. It's going to take you more than 7 to 10 days. You need a program that lets you close, get everybody out of your hair. The sellers I'm talking about, the agent. Everybody goes away. Everybody gets paid. They're gone. And now you can, under a routine plan, and go forward and get a permit and do all those things that you need to do with the 203K program.
Correct.
So, yeah, that's a very unique program, and it's underutilized in our area. And I think just because people don't understand it and understand what it can do. So,
I think it's vastly underutilized. I think that one of the important things is to get out to the realtor community and to the public as well and let them know that, hey, the house does not need to be in disrepair.
Right.
Or doesn't have to be in bad shape. If you want to find a home that's 15 years old and maybe it was built with minimum bar or a builder, white tile, oak, linoleum, and you want to go in and put in granite, marble, and do some upgrades, great opportunity, great program for that.
So you can get a hold of Kent or anybody. Most all the loan officers at Comstock Mortgage do that program, and we're constantly training and getting better on it. So
yes,
you can check them out there. That music means we got to wrap it up. Another 2 hours of broadcast mediocrity down the toilet. That's what we do best here, mediocrity. You can find a repeat of the show for whatever reason. I don't know why you'd want to listen to the show again, but if you missed it, you can find it on our Talkin Money Facebook page. You can find me during the week at jefftarbell.com. That's John Fodorero. You can find him at Comstock Mortgage as well. And our numbers during the week, 338-9400. I almost do this number here. That's it. We'll see you next Saturday, everybody. Be cool. I'm going to the dump. Bye.